Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your fourth nutrition video with me. Today we are going to talk about staying well hydrated. So we're going to talk about all things fluid and water related. So let's get started. So I actually think water can be one of the harder things to track and stay on top of. We have things like MyFitnessPal and Chronometer, which can help us track our food and macros. Um, but really keeping up with how much water throughout the day, personally for me, can be one of the harder struggles. And it's mostly because we have to drink a lot of water throughout the day to stay well hydrated. Women typically should drink about 2.5 liters a day, or about 84 ounces of water. And men should drink around 3 liters a day, or about 100 ounces of water. Um, you do get some water from the food that you consume, but the majority of your fluid is going to come from what you drink. So just to kind of put it in perspective, over 70% of your body is made up of water. So it makes sense that we have like these high fluid needs throughout the day. And one thing you can do to make sure you're staying on track with your water intake and hydration status is actually taking a look at your in-body scan. So under like the body composition analysis, you're going to have total body water in pounds, and you want that to be about half of your body weight. So if you're seeing where your total body water is making up at least half or more, then you're on track with good hydration. If your fluid or if your total body water intake is less than half of your body weight, then that means we have some room to improvement with hydration status. So obviously water is going to be the best source of fluid for you and should make up the majority of your fluid intake. But it doesn't have to be plain water. So really kind of be creative with adding fruits to your water. I think that can be a really great natural way to add flavor to your water without relying on like the pre-flavored packets like Crystal Light or the Mio water flavorings or anything like that. Simple things like lemon or lime and ice cold water can give it a really good flavor. They do make what we call like diffusers for your water, where you can chop up like maybe some berries or small pineapple slices and then add that to your water, and it kind of diffuses the water with the flavoring of that fruit. Um, Again, can really highlight that flavoring when you do like ice cold water with it as well. Um, and even bubbly waters like our carbonated waters like LaCroix and bubbly, those all count towards your water and fluid intake for the day. Um, Overall, we really want to keep our fluid um, sources minimal in beverages like sweet tea, soda, and juice. Those tend to have, one, a lot of sugar added to them, or naturally have a lot of sugar added. And drinking too many of these throughout the day can actually make you feel more dehydrated versus hydrated. So if you are a sugary beverage consumer, definitely want to try and work towards lowering that and getting to less than one sugary beverage a day is a really good goal. And when we think about where our calories is coming from, we really want more of those calories to come from real food like our sweet potatoes and protein and healthy fats and things like that, and less from what we consider like empty calories, like your sodas and juices that don't do really much for you to fill you up and keep you feeling satisfied. They really just more of kind of taste good in the moment type thing. So we definitely want to make sure we're drinking plenty of water today throughout the day. But I also know we want to replenish some of those electrolytes when we're doing workouts. Um, so use of electrolytes have become really popular, and there's a lot of options out there for everyone to choose from. All varies in the balance or mix of electrolytes they have. in them, but most are going to be really high in sodium, or are going to contain a good bit of sodium. So ranging anywhere from 500 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And that's meant to replenish the salt you're losing from like a heavy, sweaty session. The other, but what we have to be careful with with those is if you have any underlying underlying conditions like high blood pressure, prediabetes, or diabetes, due to the sodium content or the sugar they may be adding to those electrolyte packets. You know, we just want to make sure that's not contraindicating anything health related wise that we want to be monitoring. So definitely make sure you're reaching out to your primary care physician first, or you know, if you want to reach out to me personally, we can kind of talk through those things on what would be the best option for you. And we don't want to be, in general, we don't want anyone to be really excessive with using these electrolyte packets. So on average, you know, most people are okay with 1 packet a day of these electrolyte enhancers if needed, particularly if you've had like a really heavy, a really hard or excessively sweaty workout. 1 packet a day should be okay. But in general, we're going to best rehydrate from drinking water. So I know it's really easy after our workouts. You know, we're trying to get out the door and home and getting ready for work and kind of on to the next task. And we can forget about hydrating not only during our workout when we're here at the studio getting, you know, caught up and moving through the different stations and things, but also in that immediate after our workouts too. So really making an effort to carry that water with you during your workouts and, you know, trying to drink, say, a 20-ounce bottle of water after you work out just to make sure you're rehydrating your body. And particularly after a workout, rehydration is going to really help with muscle recovery. You kind of, you know, bringing fluid back into the body. So cramping doesn't occur. It kind of helps keeps the joints fluid and moving. And again, it kind of makes sure you're replenishing any water you lost during your exercises. So these are just a few tips to help everyone with staying hydrated. I think using a cup or a bottle that you know the number of fluid ounces that it's in it is a great option. So for example, I'll use like a 30-ounce or 40-ounce Stanley cup, and I know I need to drink, you know, 2 or 3 of those, depending on the size throughout the day to hit my water goal. You know, you can do small bottles throughout the day, or you can be the person with the large gallon bottle walking around to make sure you hit plenty of water. Whatever method works for you is what's going to be important here. Try water at different temperatures. Some people really like it ice cold. I do a lot better with water more at room temperature. So you really got to find what works best for you. And trying to set a goal of like around half by midday or mid-afternoon, you have about half of your water intake for the day consumed. That way you know you're on track to kind of meet your goal by the end of the day. And then maybe identifying the time of day where you're not the most consistent with water. So for me personally, it's really when I get home from work, I kind of get caught up in taking the dogs out, going for a run, making dinner. Like I kind of forget about my hydration. So some things I've done to kind of help stay on top of that is keeping the water, one of my Stanley cups by the stove while I cook, or maybe I'll do like a carbonated water instead of plain water just to kind of help switch it up. But I think identifying a time where you're not consistent and making a conscious effort, just like we've been doing with our workouts and our macros and things like that, making that consistent and constant effort to have more water during that time is going to help you with reaching your goals. So as always, if you have any questions or concerns after viewing today's video, definitely reach out, pop questions into the group chat if you feel comfortable with that, or you can send them over to me individually. I'm always here to help out. Have a good evening.